Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about the silver dime, specifically the pre-1965 silver dime, commonly referred to as a junk silver coin, or commonly referred to as junk silver. That's the silver dime. Let's see if I can show it to you here. I cannot. There we go. That's the head. That's the dime. There we go. There we go. There it is. Okay, take a look at that dime. Now, this is the Roosevelt 90% silver dime, pre-1965 junk silver. I bought it online from a common bullion dealer, a common reputable bullion dealer, and and it's $5 in nominal face value. Important to know, nominal $5. So how many is there? If each one's a dime, 10 in a dollar, 10 in a buck. Multiply that by 5, you get $5. So there's 50 dimes in here, and pre-1960, this was worth $5. But today it's worth a little over $100. Why? How could 50 dimes, which is equivalent to $5 in nominal value, be worth over $100 today? I'm not going to talk about inflation or precious metals investing today, but they're very interesting topics, and I'll talk about them in the future, I think. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to be updated on this video. Anything in the future related to silver, related to investing and currency and inflation. So if you want to stay updated, you may as well subscribe. And that'll help me as well with YouTube, the YouTube algorithm, apparently. So how could $5 be? How could $5 be over $100 today, right? Well, it's because these are pre-1965. These are junk silver. These are 90% silver. If you go into your wallet now, you won't have any change. But if you can find a dime somewhere in the world, it'll have no silver, zero silver, zip. This has 90% silver. So there's a true inherent bullion value to the stack, period. So before 1960s, people had real currency, real money. Their currency, effectively, we still have currency, that's not the right way to say it. Their currency was made of real money, which is silver and gold, and today our currency is just made out of metals. But it's an interesting concept. Now, I'm not advocating for precious metals investing. I'm not talking about inflation here. I'm just giving a great review, hopefully a great review of this interesting way to invest in bullion, this interesting way to diversify your portfolio a bit and get into bullion and precious metals, I'm assuming when I talk about this, you have primarily an equities based or a crypto based portfolio, or a portfolio that, yeah, pretty much those two. If you have just cash, silver shouldn't be your first investment. If you have just cash, obviously you need to get that emergency fund in place, and then you need to get that next thing going, which is basically your investment program. But again, this is not financial advice. This is purely infotainment. Don't be a moron. Don't take financial advice online like that. No fiduciary responsibility, and no responsibility in any sense of that word, period, to you. And I don't know you as well. This is purely infotainment, not financial advice. But when I think of a person who has maybe 100,000, let's say, in equities, yeah, diversifying into silver would be diversification. If you have 10 bars of silver already, or a few ounces of gold, or just cash, no, that's not diversification. Why would you think that's diversification? You're just kind of spinning your wheels there. Diversification happens from a point. You always have to think, when you're getting diversified, quote unquote, where are you starting from? If you have 1,000 ounces of silver and you're buying more, you're not diversifying, right? If you have 100,000 in stocks and you toss a few thousand into precious metals, well, that diversifies, right? It's just math. It's the math of it, which we're not going to go into now. But to understand if you're getting diversified through actions, you must know the starting point. You simply cannot. Mathematically, you cannot know if you're getting diversified by taking any action, by taking any measure, by taking any step. You cannot know if it's leading you to a more diverse position unless you know your starting point. Because what is a more diverse position, right? Probably a position that has less volatility. And it's all based in math. You cannot simply know mathematically if you're increasing your diversification, unless you know what the current state of the portfolio is. So you need to have a portfolio time A, portfolio time B in the future. So that's important. When people talk about diversification online without regard to where you are now, that's why you can't just say, oh, buy silver to diversify. You have to state your assumption. What are you assuming? You're assuming they're in equities. That's reasonable. But if you're assuming your silver, your silver channel, all your viewers are searching silver stuff, then you can't really say that adding silver is diversification. Not that anyone's doing that. I'm just saying. So here's my review of this. This is what I'm trying to get at. You're looking to buy it. What are you going to get with this? Well, this is the brilliant uncirculated variety, the BU variety, right? BU, meaning that these were almost uncirculated. Basically, they're pretty new and they're pre 1965. It's a cool thing to buy. It's a cheap, easy way to get into silver. It's a nice thing to store, easy to store, but again, very low value. This is $100. If you have 20 of these, right? You're gonna have about $2,000 equivalent to 1 ounce of gold. 20 of these will be equivalent to 1 ounce of gold. So it's definitely not a good way to store large amounts of value. This is a good way to hedge and take certain hedging positions. It's also a good way to further diversify a precious metals portfolio that is primarily based on bars, primarily invested in bars and sovereign rounds, primarily on large bars and sovereign rounds, which I think most people have. Small bars, I'm not too big of a fan of, but I'm assuming if you're a very serious investor, you're either gonna have larger bars and sovereigns, or you're gonna have both. You can also have pre 1933 gold. Obviously, if you have just gold, any silver is going to add to your portfolio, but this is not going to be, unless you're pretty small time at the beginning, it's not going to be a core item. If you're adding $500 a month to your stack, you're not going to be buying five of these, right? That would be ridiculous if you're buying five of these a month. If you're adding $500 a month, I'd want to see that you're adding, I'd want to see things like Maple Leafs. I would want to see Britannias. Of course, I'd want to see American Eagles, right? Of course. I'd want to see things saved up for pre 1933 gold. Maybe a St. Gaudens. Uh, maybe, maybe even some European pre 1933 to diversify. Obviously, a Buffalo. Obviously, a Gold Eagle. So if you have those, this adds a little bit of interest to you because this is small denomination, small, very tiny. Also, if you're a prepper and you're investing for the small, minute, tiny chance that things will truly hit the fan, that shit will hit the fan, and you're gonna want to have some real money, having silver and gold, right? You need to have diversity across the denominations. So if you have a 10-ounce gold bar, there you may never use it. Maybe to purchase a huge plot of land in that future. Hopefully, we never get to that scenario. That would be a very bad scenario where all of us are much poorer than we are now in Western society. But you'd purchase something huge with it. Maybe gold bars, large purchases, silver bars, gold sovereigns. I mean, not gold bars, like gold eagles. And large silver bars, yeah, and then even silver rounds like a like a silver eagle, right, or a silver Britannia or a Canadian maple leaf, silver maple leaf. Those are useful. But what if you want to buy something really small? What if you want to buy something really small? Are you gonna limit yourself to only having that maple leaf or only having that 1 ounce of silver? That means you're gonna either not gonna get a good deal on things, or you're gonna have to buy in bulk all the time, or you're just not gonna be able to buy it. So either you can't buy it, or you're gonna be have to buy in huge quantities all the time, which presents a ton of operational challenges in this new world. Or you're gonna have to just, if you don't want to take on those operational challenges, or there's not the ability to buy in bulk due to supply, then you're gonna have to buy normal quantities with an enormous denomination. You're gonna get kind of fucked over on the exchange. To avoid that, a little bit in these may be useful. Again, that's only relevant if you think that there may be a scenario within the next, a probabilistic scenario. Like maybe if you think there's a certain chance that the currency will collapse and the world will shift dramatically. There is a probability, I believe, that could happen. I think it's smaller than 1%. Um, I think it's probably smaller than 1/10 of a percent actually, but I think it's not insignificant, and the consequences are so severe that personally it makes sense to have in an overall portfolio, it makes sense to have a little bit, a tiny amount on this type of junk silver just for trading purposes. Even that is useful. But don't buy this if you have a ton of credit card debt and no savings. Don't buy this if you don't even own one share of anything, if you don't own any crypto. This is an illiquid form of saving and investing money, mainly saving, not really investing. A very illiquid form. So you have to be prudent with that. And then finally, make sure you buy it from a reputable place. Make sure you buy it from a reputable place. I like to keep my. I'm not a fan. I don't fondle these. I don't care. I just keep it the way it is, and I buy these very rarely. Just very rarely, I buy them. Just on occasion, just to kind of diversify my stack. But I think it's an interesting thing to buy. It makes a great gift as well. Very interesting gift for new silver people. Although it's not as intriguing, not as interesting as getting someone something like a maple leaf, right, or a beautiful Britannia, or an Austrian Philharmonic. That's a really cool gift, right? You give that to a kid. You give this to a kid, they're gonna think it's a bunch of dimes.